Don't Be Alone with Jay Kogen is brought to you by Prime Video, and they present The Boys. In Season 4, we recognize a grim reality in America. A strong man has risen to power, and he has rewritten the rules of government. He has weaponized fear, and he has demanded absolute loyalty, all while his worshippers cheer him on. This is not a documentary, but still for your consideration. The Boys is Emmy eligible in Outstanding Drama Series and all other categories, and available for TV Academy members to watch at consideramazon.com.
I'm Jon Turteltaub, and this is Don't Be Alone with James Kogen.
Don't be alone with Jay Kogen.
Hi, welcome to Don't Be Alone with Jay Kogen. I am thrilled that you're here. I am very excited to get your emails. Please email me at dbawjk@gmail.com with all your questions, your viewer questions, which I use to read on the show, but all your compliments. I'm desperate for your compliments. I'm desperate for your criticism. I'm desperate for a connection of any kind. Why would I be doing a podcast if I didn't want to meet people and talk to people? I get nothing. I don't know why I'm here. I'm here just to connect with you and my friends. And I have a good friend today to connect to. My good friend, Jon Turteltaub, who I've known for many, many years, going into like 55, 56 years of knowing this guy. It's an interesting friendship. He and I have a very similar life. His father was comedy writer Saul Turteltaub. My father's comedy writer Arnie Kogen. They both worked on the Carol Burnett Show. They both wrote and were friends with Steve Lawrence and Edie Gourmet. And we, as young people, got connected with each other through the Lawrences and our mutual friend Michael Lawrence, who sadly passed away at a very young age. And Jon and I went to different schools, weren't really connected together, but at some point, somewhere around high school, we got to know each other a little bit more. And then in college, we got to know each other a lot more. And we found out miraculously that we had simpatico, that we understood each other, that we were from the same place, that we knew the same things, that we kind of understood a lot of our world in the same way. And it's remarkable to have had a built-in friend for your whole life and then discover, oh, this really is a friend. So we're going to talk to Jon about growing up in the shadow a little bit of other successful people, and where does that put our success or our failure, and how do we sort of frame ourselves, and how we look at ourselves now after having somewhat of a career and decide, is it enough? Is it okay? And are we enough? And are we okay? So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, and then us insulting each other and complimenting each other for no reason, then you should stay tuned and enjoy this lovely show with phenomenal director. He directed Phenomenon, While You Were Sleeping, Cool Runnings, National Treasure, and a million other things right after this.
Don't be alone with Jay Kogen.
Jon, this is a pleasure to have you. Not for me, but for you. It's a pleasure for you to be here.
You're making the funny, but it's actually true. I love this. It really makes me feel good. I've known you my whole life, and here you are with a podcast. It's not a television show.
A podcast.
But
you know how exclusive it is to have a podcast? You know the rarefied air? I
don't know how you managed to be hired for this.
Right.
I will say this. When I told my wife this morning, I said, Jay has a podcast. And she was like, oh my, that's so fantastic. I said, I have to be there at 11 because I'm his guest today. And she said, oh, so he doesn't have a lot of listeners. It's not that big.
The two things come to mind immediately when she said, oh, that's so fantastic. What did she think this podcast was when she said, oh, that's fantastic?
I think she meant it's fantastic. You're not sitting at home doing nothing.
Okay, all right. That's fine. And then that might not have a lot of listeners. So your wife, Amy, is adorable, and yet somehow I'm hearing she has to take you down a peg.
I think she actually meant it. No, she does that funny thing sometimes as a joke. I married Amy because I'd never met anyone who just gets it as well as she does. Mm-hmm. And the people in life who tend to really get it usually aren't as stunningly beautiful as she is.
Right.
And as kind as she is. That combination makes for a perfect person.
Sure. So what you doing with you?
That, you know what? Yin and yang.
So, Jon, I want to say thank you for being here. But the reason I have people on my show is to solve a problem I'm having in my life.
Okay.
And there's no one I know who likes solving other people's problems as much as Jon Turteltaub.
I do. You're right. Every time I'm working on that.
But I like it.
As
I don't
get
think it's a problem.
Yeah, but I'm getting to the point of I can. It makes me stressed out because I got to fix the thing. And now I'm realizing, other people's problems can be left to those people to figure out.
That's 100% true.
It's a new step for me. That said, my dream is to have a reality show where people and cameras follow me around, and the show is called "You're Doing It Wrong," and it follows me around as I get annoyed in my day and fix things.
Right. Let's talk about some of the things that you've done that I love. One of the things that you made. You obviously when you started, you made movies that you could make for the budgets you could make and all that kind of stuff, and they're fun and you can look back at that. But you made a movie called While You Were Sleeping. Okay. That I don't think there's a better romantic comedy in existence, and I love that movie. It's like put it up against whatever Hepburn and Tracy or Harry Met Sally or any of those things. It's fantastic, and I think it's a really difficult genre. I think it's really hard to thread the line between not being corny and not being overly romantic, but still being funny. And this is the perfect movie. I don't know how to beat it. So that, like, how did you, at a young stage in your career, say, this is what I'm going to do?
I wanted to make I thought the romantic comedy in my head was the apex of movies to make.
I don't disagree.
Because that is the crowd-pleasing, wonderful thing. And I am still a believer that, people say it doesn't matter what other people think. You need to be happy. I think in show business, the only thing that matters is what other people think.
I agree with you.
That's the job.
Right.
Who cares what you think? Did they laugh? Did they love it? Did they show up?
You're trying to make enough of other people. You're not going to make everybody like it. No. But if you get enough people, then you feel successful.
Right. And you're also not going to get critics to like it and all that. You can't control these things. But it still hurts and it still drives you nuts. While you were sleeping, and part of, I think, what success comes from is recognizing what's great. I read a script. I thought it was terrific. I was told I can't get that movie. It's a little beyond me. Mm-hmm. And it was already set up with Harrison Ford and Gina Davis. And I believe it was going to be Christopher Columbus directing. And they hadn't closed deals yet. It was going to be expensive, and they didn't know whether they were going to do it. And the producers called me up and said, we're not going to go with a really good director. We're going to go with you. That's verbatim.
Right. Okay.
And the minute it was me, Harrison Ford left, Gina Davis left. Of course, I didn't expect anything different. I was happy, though, because I thought the script was funny. And I knew how to get that on screen. Because to me, While You're Sleeping is the most me movie that I made. It's my sense of humor. It's what I find the funniest and all that. So I felt I was a good arbiter of whether it was working or not. Right. And I could make good contributions. Right. And again, it's casting. For every director will tell you it's casting. Sandra Bullock, the end. You cast someone else, it might not be that movie.
Right. She was fantastic.
Perfect.
And that's when you went on to make many, many movies with Sandra Bullock. That's fantastic.
True. She couldn't get enough of me.
What happened? Why no more movies with Sandra Bullock?
Because I was doing the thing, first of all, where I'd done my romantic comedy and I have to do something different.
Right.
I've never done a drama and I want to go do that. And I did, and that was fine. But also finding great projects is hard. Finding great projects with a star attached and it's a female, that's hard. Right. Right. So we have so much less control over our careers than the public, I think, thinks.
Right. Or that we think. Yeah.
And Jon Turteltaub, who's had a very up and very down career. I was sitting with him when he was asked, literally verbatim, why did you make so many bad movies? Okay.
Right.
And Jon, being Jon, wasn't upset by it, just heard it and said, you don't get to see how the movie comes out before you say yes. In addition, you choose the movies that are sent to you. Mm-hmm. You don't get to choose from all the movies ever made. You get to choose from the 3 or 4 that come your way.
Right.
So that's why you just choose the best thing you think is available.
Let me ask you this question. I grew up in Encino, and you grew up in Beverly Hills. The show busy people were around, all that kind of stuff. We grew up with a lot of people, some of whom became very, very successful.
Yes.
And some of whom did not. And some of whom tried to go into show business and succeeded wildly. Some of whom did not. You were in the same class as Nicolas Cage, right?
Yes.
Who's, I'm told, a very successful actor.
He's been in a few movies.
Right. But for every Nicolas Cage and Jon Turteltaub, there are probably, I don't know, 10 other or more people who thought we could do it, and they're not going to do it.
And Nick didn't stand out as the most talented actor in high school.
Right.
But that's partially because there's high school acting and there's movie acting.
Right.
And
he hadn't learned to scream yet.
No. But, I was a phenomenal actor in high school. I was the lead in the plays because I was great at high school acting.
Which is not the best acting.
It's the best acting, Jay. No, it's not. And Nick had another whole thing going. It wasn't until he got on film that it really clicked for him. And other people, their styles have to meet what's going on. But a ton of us are just not that good.
Yeah.
And
not me. I'm great.
What's funny, you are great.
I'm a great actor. And by the way, my greatest role is the pre-ride film of Soarin' Over California. I was just in with Thomas Lennon, who couldn't stop talking about it.
That's so great. To be etched in the history of Disneyland is the greatest thing ever. And that I could do that for you makes me very
fantastic. I had
happy.
a call regularly, like at least once every 2 weeks.
It's so great.
Somebody says, "Do you know that you're in?" I said, "Yeah, I do know that I'm in it. I'm glad that you're watching it."
But
thank you for calling me. And that like on a fluke you called. You said,
"Yeah, I was going down. I wanted just people I like to be around. I didn't want if I go out and find an actor, then I have to be nervous and awkward and make sure they're fine and make conversation. But I could." Have you there, and it would be fun, and we would do this. I knew it didn't require great things. Sure. You had to smile and make a face and be funny, and that's you.
So you were a great high school actor, but you didn't think, I'm going to be an actor.
I wanted to.
Is that right?
I went to college. I was a theater major. I was like, I'm going to be an actor because I'm going to be a star. I didn't know. You don't know what a director even is at 17. So I started directing plays in college. And I was much better at that than acting in the plays.
Why do you think?
How did I know, or why?
Why was that a better fit? Why was directing a play?
Because I was directing the play when I was acting in it. I would be on stage thinking about which side of the audience is laughing more, where the light is. Is the actor standing in it? Should I get this other actress to stand closer to me so that they can see her? It's cold. Why do we have it? That's where I was.
Right.
Actors who are great, that in the moment thing, and they get lost in the role, that's a real thing. I could never do it. I was always aware of what was going on around me. You're doing it wrong part of me. Mm-hmm. And that makes for a bad actor, but a very good director.
How quickly did Harvey Keitel not trust you as a director?
We had the greatest time. Harvey Keitel is so much fun, and it was shocking. I was nervous, intimidated. That didn't last long. It's funny. There are two kinds of horribly scary actors to work with. Those who are just difficult and famous.
Right.
All the time. And those who get bad when something goes wrong. The ones who both are very complicated. The ones who are just a pain in the neck the whole time, you don't want to work with them.
Right.
But the ones who just become difficult if anything goes wrong, you find a way to manage that.
Right. But I mean, something always goes wrong at some point.
When someone comes up to me on the set and they're very sheepish and they're giving me some really bad news and something's gone wrong, I've said to them, you don't understand. If it's not my fault, I'm fine. Because all I can do now is be a hero. You're giving me an opportunity to save the day. If you're coming up to me telling me something I did wrong, I'm devastated.
Tell People I'm with Jay Kogen is brought to you by Prime Video, who presents The Better Sister, starring Jessica Biel and Elizabeth Banks. Based on the best-selling novel, the limited series is about terrible things that drive sisters apart and ultimately bring them back together. Chloe lives a picturesque life while her estranged sister Nikki can't keep up. When Chloe's husband is murdered, the investigation exposes one family's long-buried secret. The Better Sister is Emmy eligible and available for TV Academy members at consideramazon.com. Watch it!
Don't be alone with Jay Kogen.
Well, here's my question that I wanted you to help me solve, which is this. I want to figure out how to look at my career, my storied, award-winning career as a writer, and place all the things I haven't done in it and the things that are disappointing, I have disappointed myself by not doing, and where I put that in. So, like, in other words, how do I define myself as a writer, as a father, but mostly my professional career as a writer and as a producer and as a sometimes director, sometimes actor? What do I do to sort of place myself in the pantheon of people, many of whom I love, who are much, much more successful, some of whom I love are less successful, but my expectations of me was to be way up here, and I'm like here.
The first thing is to ask shorter questions. That went on a long time. So if you can just basically in like 12 or 14 words ask a question,
right?
That would be much easier.
Well, the blank look on your face the whole time made me think I had to keep going.
I'm thinking of philosophical depth and emotional and psychological stuff. Are you asking me to tell you where you stand in the pantheon?
I'm asking this because we both grew up with fathers who were writers.
Yes.
And we both grew up in show business.
Yes.
And we may have had, because of that, we may have had expectations of what it's like to be in show business and what success looks like.
Yes.
So if I came from the middle of Ohio and with no expectations, I might at this point think, Jay Kogen, I can't believe you've done the things you've done. It's unbelievable.
Okay, so are you, here's a good question. Was that expectation about what you would achieve, or get to the point where you got that feeling, feeling of being in the mix and one of those guys?
No, it's what I would achieve. In other words, when I thought when I was a kid, by the time I'm 30, I better have won an Academy Award for directing a movie.
Right. Okay. Well, that's mad because I knew you then. You're an idiot.
Right.
So that's a stupid expectation.
Okay, but I thought it, and I know it was possible, but I didn't do it.
Okay. You didn't carry yourself as that person, though.
Right. But I knew it was possible.
It was possible, and it could have happened.
Right.
Like, look, it's all of us. We had a lot of our parents and other white privilegey things that happened with us. They're all miracles. Every job in show business is a miracle. There's so many ways for it to not happen.
Right.
You were on a small thing on Tracy Ullman. That it's by luck that The Simpsons did a cartoon on that show. Right?
That's true. That's true.
So that's like a crazy weird thing. So you're connected to The Simpsons, and that pulls you into that. Now, you had the opportunity to show yourself that you were worthy of that, and people around you thought, oh, Jay's really good. His partner's better, but he's good.
Right.
So let's hire him. But that show could have been canceled after 6 weeks and then nothing.
We thought it would be, sure.
So,
I mean, but the Tracy Ullman Show actually was the bigger deal at the time. Tracy Ullman Show was an Emmy Award-winning Jim Brooks thing. It was like a much bigger deal. The cartoon was the thing that everybody said, don't do. The cartoon was like, that's the mistake.
This is all about how you frame things.
That's right.
Right? So we can frame things in light of what did our parents achieve.
Right.
Okay. You've already achieved more than your father, yes or no?
Career-wise, maybe. I think this is up for debate.
How many Emmys did he win?
He won 3.
Okay. How many have you won?
Well, 4.
Okay. So there you go. It's all done.
That's not the scorecard.
Are you funnier than your dad?
I don't think so. I'm a more serious writer than my dad, and that could be a victory.
Yeah, and you're a great writer, and
he was never on a ride at Disney.
Wanting to win that's true. Wanting to win an Oscar by 30 is fine. Thinking you're going to is the issue of growing up with successful parents.
Right. That
you set an unreal expectation.
But I'm 60, and I'm still thinking, well, maybe, and that's kind of goofy too.
Do you like who you are?
70%.
Would you like yourself more if you won an Academy Award?
I'd like my career more, maybe.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be happier.
No, it's true. I wouldn't like myself more, but I'd like my career more.
So own that.
Yeah.
Realize you're good. You like yourself. You came to a good place. You've had a good life. You did great. You'd have more to show from your career, but in terms of awards. But are you saying, I would have loved to have won an Oscar because it's great to win an Oscar? Or are you saying, I wish I had written something worthy of an Oscar?
A little bit of both. I guess I don't really believe Oscars are the demarcation of what's worthy, truly. I like the, I guess the largesse, what people associate with it to be reflected on me, as opposed to the fact of, I think favorite movies have nothing to do with Oscars.
I feel the same as you in that I'd love to have that label.
Right.
Because I know what that label meant to me. Now that I know what that label actually means, and now that we're in a point where I'm kind of thinking in 10 years there won't even be Oscars,
right.
Another conversation, I also started doing the following of thinking, I've done enough to feel good about myself.
Right.
I didn't do the things as great as I wanted to, but I'm understanding why, and the choices I made.
What didn't you do as great?
The kind of movie wins an Oscar. To be more famous as a director.
Right.
To be on that, you're sort of at the top of those big paychecks.
Right. But you're Howard
Hawks.
Hawks.
Dream about.
Your career is Howard Hawks. Your career is like a guy who's made a ton of different movies and a ton of different genres, popcorn movies that people loved.
That's really nice to say. And I never thought it until about a few years ago. Someone looked me in the eye and said, Jon, you're a really successful director. And this person was in show business, a real person.
Was it Liam Neeson?
Yes.
Okay.
And it Uncle Liam Neeson. And it actually sat with me, and I went, you know what? Just take that in.
Yeah.
Believe him. And spend the rest of your life thinking, oh, you succeeded. Great. And so my ambitions and feeling empty started going away. And I realized I don't need to get anywhere. I'm there.
Who in us growing up, or our kids growing up, we've known each other since we were very young. We had mutual friends with the Lawrences, and your dad was friends with them. My dad was friends with it, and we hung out a little bit as kids, more as adults than as kids.
Yes.
But I always thought interesting. I always thought that guy, Jon Turteltaub, interesting kid.
I felt the same about you.
Kid.
Funny, but I don't see him very much.
Yeah.
And but he's a son of my parents' friends.
Exactly.
Not my friend.
Right. There were guys we grew up with, or we knew, who were also in this world, who I think were waylaid by the idea of their parents being in show business and them not being as successful. What can we draw from that?
A lot of those people loved the accoutrement of success and were usually given a lot more of it than we were. They saw themselves as good at it before they proved to themselves they were actually good at it. I think a lot of them did not have a lot of talent and did not have a lot of depth to the reasons why they wanted to do it. It looked good to them, but they didn't love it. You love what you do for a living.
I do. I loved making shows. And if somebody said your job was to be like third assistant editor to make shows, I'd do that. Correct. Like absolutely be part of whatever it was.
And if someone said to you, you're going to have to stay up all night and sleep out in the cold to get a show made, you'd look at them like, well, duh.
Right.
Right?
Yes, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
The way with your baby, right? Mm-hmm. So, when you have kids, you're not going to go to the movies and you're going to have to stay up all night. You're looking at them like, right. that is nothing. But there are a lot of people who don't see it that way. They go, I don't really want to do that. Well, that person shouldn't be doing this.
I don't think they are.
And that's who I think a lot of those people are.
Yeah. So when you were making Three Ninjas, which happened to be, I think, the big crossover movie for you.
Big break.
Because you made this movie that was a smaller movie that was really well done and made $1 gazillion.
It didn't make $1 gazillion, but it made a lot more than expected.
It was the most profitable movie in the year that you made it of any movie made.
That is true. So what's the question? Is there luck involved in that?
The question
is so much luck I can't even tell you. I did not know
Not
going
anticipate success, but did you feel like, oh, this is really humming. This one's feeling good.
Nope. And I thought the script was but it was a job.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw where it could be good. And as we made it and were finishing it up, we thought it was terrible. And other people told us it was terrible.
Okay.
We were pretty sure it was terrible. But we kept going. The editor quit.
Oh.
Towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
Like he kind of could get another job. He's like, well, I'm not staying on this turkey.
Right.
And he left. We just didn't know. And we had a screening. And I had a cousin who told another guy to come. And that guy worked in acquisitions at Disney. And he made that guy come. We weren't going to even have the screening. It was the same week as the riots in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. The riots started that end of that week. So if we hadn't done it that night,
you wouldn't have had that screening.
All goes away. So all these pieces of good fortune happen. And somehow this guy saw it, loved it, and Disney bought the movie. Right? It's crazy.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Never know going in.
Disney made your movie and they killed my movie. Oh, dear
That's
God.
true.
It's all right. There's the yin and the yang. The yin and the yang.
Yeah.
So okay. So
you've told the audience all about your.
They know. No. I mean, the Wrong Guy is a movie you can watch on YouTube if you want to see it for free. It's very funny, and Disney killed it. But that's fine. It's all right. It's still out there.
They didn't ruin the movie. They just never released it.
They stopped it and continue to stop it from being seen on cable or things that would pay money.
They did such a good. It's not even a cult classic.
Yeah.
It's just nobody watches it.
Right, exactly.
Nobody's made
it's a cult,
nothing.
It's not a cult classic, but it's a cult film because 4 people have seen it.
Correct.
That's why it's a cult film.
We're in a good cult.
Yes, it's good. I have a question for you about producer Ryan has seen Cool Runnings many, 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 many times. So Cool Runnings, what drew you to it?
After 3 Ninjas, there was a buzz like, ooh, who's that director?
Right.
Took a little tiny nothing film. So there's a little buzz. And I got sent some scripts. They were all in Hollywood, sort of, but the bottom of the barrel. Because that's where I was entering the room. And it's like I got invited to the dance, but no one wanted to dance with me. I got these scripts. They were bad, not great. I'm like, I don't know what this is. Or I'd say maybe, and they wouldn't hire me. And my agent, a man named David Lawner, who's been awesome because he's honest with me, said, Jon, remember how all summer you were the flavor of the month? I said, yeah. He said, your month's over. Do a movie.
Right.
So the best of the ones out was a script called Blue MAGA, the original title of Cool Runnings. But Disney never believed in that movie. Always thought it was going to be terrible. They didn't want to make it, but they had to contractually. Mm-hmm. And they were going to bury it. And then they saw it. And they all said it. Said, oh, we blew it. This is really good. And it was too late to suddenly...
For marketing? They'd
missed a lot of the window
right.
and all of that. We opened, I think, in 3rd place. And then the second week, we were in 2nd place.
That never happens.
And we just kept staying around, and the word of mouth was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And that's, look, for me, yeah, you want the studio to open the movie. It's as much as they can. But you can give, for the most part, studio credit when your movie opens big. But you get the credit if it sticks around.
Yeah.
Because people like it. And so that sticks around. And
people love that movie. People talk about that all the time. And John Candy was
he was as amazing a person and great as you hope he was.
Right.
That was the guy. I've never been that dorky around a big movie star. Mm-hmm. I met Jon and I was just an idiot. This was my hero, my idol. And whatever, he would talk and I'd giggle like that.
Right.
It's like I almost called him every time, hi, John Candy. Would you like to come in, John Candy? When we first met, we had to go to wardrobe and we talked about what kind of hat he would wear. And he goes, I'm not wearing a hat. I said, why aren't you wearing a hat? And he said, because I look funny in hats. And I said, no, look good. He goes, look. And he went through and put on about 12 different hats, did a funny thing in each hat, looked ridiculous in every hat. He was right and hilarious. And I was like, I just got a one-man show privately from John
Fantastic.
Candy.
Yeah.
The greatest.
Yeah.
Kind, funny, the best.
Don't be alone with Jay Kogen.
Talking about movies that last forever, I didn't know this because I'm too old, but when you made the National Treasure movies, I thought, oh, this is a good movie. This is fun. This is good. But I've worked with writers now on my staff who say, no, that's the movie that changed my life. Like, you know the director of National Treasure. They don't give a shit about anything else. They don't give Steven Spielberg's number. They're not interested in. They want to find out who directed National Treasure. How did that become like a generation's movie? Like,
I think there are a lot of people who helped make that movie a success. And it's the one movie where, even though a lot of it was me listening to other people's advice, I was the one who willed it into existence and got it to what it was. Because, and I'll say this for all you directors out there listening and all you movie people, it was on that movie that I learned that the most important thing a director does, and maybe the only important thing a director does, is tone. Tone is everything to a movie, and that's the director's job. When you are watching a movie you love, all of you can remember that movie and what it felt like.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that world of that movie was. That's the tone.
yeah.
Okay? You're in it. The tone of National Treasure was not only great, but no one else understood it. No one wanted to make it because it wasn't clear what the tone was. We were told no and put off so many times because it's a history movie. History's boring. Mm-hmm. Anyone who thought history wasn't so boring certainly thought, as American history goes, the Revolutionary War period is the most boring. Right? Civil War, love it. World War II, love it. Revolutionary War, boring. And I kept saying, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, because all of these things are boring because your teacher was boring.
Right.
And I refuse to be a boring teacher. I'm going to be the best history teacher you ever have. And now people love that stuff because they had a non-boring teacher. One day early, like second day on the set, Nick said to me, Jon, are we playing this real or are we playing this for comedy? Mm-hmm. And I said, yes.
Right.
And he looked at me odd. I said, there's no comedy that's better than when it's real. Mm-hmm. Your character is real. The comedy comes out of that realness of that character. There might be some crazy stuff going on, but we want to believe in these people as people and care about them as people. Don't play the comedy. Find the joke.
Right.
Play the person. He got it. He loved it. The whole cast got it and loved it. But it took time. And Jerry Bruckheimer, the king of the action movie, kept looking at me. And what was great about Jerry, he would say, it's great if it's funny. That's what you do. Go make it funny. Because he knows he can't make it funny.
Right.
Right? He wants it funny, so he hires people who can make it funny.
I know. I worked on Kangaroo Jack.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I know how unfunny a Jerry Bruckheimer movie could be.
So there was something in the tone and the willingness to combine classic elements. See, the thing I think National Treasure and While You Were Sleeping and Cool Runnings have is the thing that's been in my way a lot of the time, and it's the thing that has given me my success, is trying to make movies that are timeless and classical. They draw on the permanent, wonderful things that movies have to offer. It's not the same as cliche, but it's cliche adjacent.
Okay.
Right?
What are those things?
Happy endings.
Okay.
Satisfying endings.
Mm-hmm. Cathartic.
Friendships, love, romance, but humor that elevates. There's very little darkness in my films. Mm-hmm. And I think darkness, that's a problem. I've had trouble with darkness. That's why I get bad reviews. Reviewers love darkness.
Right.
I love it when I see a movie. I'm bad at it.
There's a little darkness in Phenomenon. There's a little darkness in some of these,
That's conflict.
All right.
And that's worry. But, some of the, like a Paul Thomas Anderson movie or David O. Russell movie, you're living in that darkness in a lot of ways. And staying there and mining that stuff, that's not something I'm great at. I wish it were.
All right. Well, now I have question time.
It's question time.
Did you hear that? That means it's question time.
Mm-hmm.
These are questions that people wrote in specifically for you.
No way.
They did. Okay, here's the first question. What's his favorite creative experience, and in what capacity was he helping to create? Let me read this again. What was his favorite creative experience?
You're an idiot.
And in what capacity was he helping to create during this experience?
Most creative experience might have been, I'll put it this way, the movie I enjoyed making and felt very creative was Las Vegas.
Okay.
It was a movie with huge star actors, Michael Douglas, Morgan Freeman, Kevin Kline, and Robert De Niro.
Right.
And Mary Steenburgen. They were delightful.
Mm-hmm.
They were amazing. And every day that you're doing stuff, they're making it better. So you feel lighter and you feel open to contribute.
Mm-hmm.
It all went smoothly.
Right.
And I think the result was terrific. And so I would say Las Vegas was certainly the most enjoyable experience. That felt creative, at least for me.
Guys and Mary Steenburgen, did they socialize? Were they hanging out?
Some of them, some not. That's you're learning all this.
Yeah.
Because look, everything. Robert De Niro sat by himself most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Other guys like to talk.
Right.
They're all different. Some like to talk to me even.
Right.
That was amazing.
Did De Niro come to you with like his head cocked at an angle and say, "What are you doing?" Like any that kind of stuff?
He talked to me we talked about the scenes.
Right.
First day of shooting, we get to the set. There's a huge shot. Robert De Niro's walking into a casino.
Right.
A lot of extras. Everyone's supposed to be there at 6 a.m. We all get there. No De Niro. 6:30. No De Niro. 7 o'clock. No De Niro.
That sounds like it cost a lot of De Niro for De Niro.
We have to scrap the shot and we move on. Now, we can't handle this every day. We can't tolerate that.
Right.
That's not going to work. And the producers look at me and go, wow, somebody better talk to him. And I'm like, well. So I go to his trailer. He opens the door. And I said to him, "Good morning, Mr. De Niro."
Right.
And I left. That was it. That's all I had.
Right.
Because in that moment I realized, I'm going to fight with him. I'm going to argue with him. He was late. He had a reason to be late. Or he didn't, but he's going to be late.
Right.
And that's the way it is. And again, going back, if I'm the person with super integrity, I could probably have that conversation with him in a way.
Right.
I'm not that guy.
Right.
And I can't be that guy all the time. I'm me. So I decided I'll have fun with Robert De Niro and we'll get along great. And if he's late, he's late.
Right. Talk about not being in conflict with your actors. How does a guy like David O. Russell scream at his actors and then still they want to come work with him again?
There are many directors like that. And they scream and they're horrible to people. And yet the actors, but mostly the crew people, take the beating and they come back. It's odd. It's weird. What it does is it means the second film they do with them, they can't complain, right? You knew what you were getting into, right? And someone would say, well, you shouldn't have to put up with that to have a job. Well, you should if it's the second time, right? That's part of that job. They don't come back if the movie that they got yelled at on was a failure. They tend to come back to be part of success.
I guess and Lily Tomlin, who had a very famous screaming match, I don't think she's worked a lot with David O. Russell since I Heart Huckabees.
A very strong feeling about the following. Christian Bale recorded screaming and yelling at a DP, right? People sent that tape around. Look how horrible, how horrible, how horrible. Someone played it for me and they said, what do you think of this? And I said, honestly, it sounds to me like a Tuesday, right? That's a set occurrence. That happens on set, right? And I guarantee you, everyone involved in that was fine. What offended me was that it got out.
Yeah.
That the movie set wasn't a safe space.
Right.
And that the person who recorded that was not supposed to be recording that, and certainly was not supposed to be sending that to other people.
Right.
That I found very offensive.
Here's another question. Ask Jon Turteltaub if he ever considered changing his name. No.
Yes.
You did?
In kindergarten, first of all, it's been brutal having a horrible name. And Larry David came up to me 2 years ago, said, Jon, I'm doing a show and I need a character to have a horrible, horrible name. Can I use your name? I was like, sure, Larry David, go ahead. My father had changed his name also for a while when he was trying to be a stand-up comedian. So for about 4 years in his life, Saul Turteltaub was actually Stan Taylor.
Wow, I did not know that.
And there are people my whole life who still called him Stan because they knew him from that time. So I thought about it, but when I realized, no, if my dad never did, and I can do it, and I want to honor that, so I'm going to stick with it. But it's a pain in the neck spelling it over and over again.
Tell me about it.
No, you have the Jake Hogan.
No,
problem.
I have to write out Turteltaub plenty of times.
Oh, well, that,
Yes,
right. But for
it's
you,
annoying.
you're just a Kogen, Kogen.
They can't spell it. They don't. Right. It's not a horrible name, but nobody can spell it. It's fine. What's the one scene from a movie that you truly love but had to cut because it didn't work in the film?
I don't know if this is the most, but I was actually thinking about this the other day. Mm-hmm. There is a scene not in a movie I made called The Kid. Officially Disney's The Kid, because nothing could have been worse. And there's what I thought was a really funny scene with Bruce Willis and Matthew Perry making a cameo appearance as like full on mustache and beard and long hair, and was unrecognizable as Matt. Mm-hmm. And he was really funny. Yeah. And it was there because it was funny. Mm-hmm. It was not helping the plot move along. Right. And out it went. Mm-hmm. And I always felt it's a shame that wasn't there. And I felt bad for Matt that he did me the favor of showing up and doing all this, and I had to throw it out. Yeah.
What's a scene you wish you could do over again?
Oh, it came out bad, and I blew that scene.
Or not, it didn't come out bad, just like, we got so close, or we ran out of time, or with
there's so many.
Yeah.
I actually think, you mentioned While You Were Sleeping, the final scene where she confesses. Sandy's great. Mm-hmm. I think that scene could have been much, much better. And I didn't know how to quite get it there. It's shot flat. Mm-hmm. Weird color to it. She brings everything, and yet that scene should have brought the audience to tears and didn't. And it's my fault. And I'm not sure why.
I remember hating that scene in the movie.
Shut up.
Yes, I didn't hate it. It was great.
No, it was fine. It's in the movie. Of course it works.
The last thing, there's a theme for it, which is Moment of Joy. So you're listening to A Moment of Joy.
A moment of joy.
So Moment of Joy, what's the thing that you do that gives you joy that maybe I could do or our listeners could do?
Playing music in a band.
Okay.
When you're in a band, when I'm playing in a band, I play keyboards. When you're with a band and you all play together in the song, it's the greatest feeling. You're with your people you like, you're creating something, and it takes all of you to create that. You feel like a rock star, and it sounds, you can listen to the thing you're creating and enjoy the thing you're creating. Right.
While it's happening.
While it's happening. It's rare you make us paint, you paint a painting and go, I'm so moved. Right? Music, you listen to it and you can enjoy the thing you're even making. So I would say being part of a band.
Do you get a chance to jam a lot?
I actually do a little bit in a great way. My daughter's elementary school, which was my son's elementary school, has a parent band.
Okay.
And it's teachers and parents, small 5-6 people. And every Friday there's a school assembly where we play and the kids dance 2 songs, and it's on a theme.
Okay.
So it's just the 5, 6, maybe 7 of us. And when you play together, it's really fun.
Do you rehearse your songs?
We used to rehearse more, now less. But in this band, there have been, over the years, ridiculously amazing musicians
Who's like the best of the best, the cream of the crop?
A guy named Chris Chaney, who is the bass player was on Alanis Morissette's albums and Shakira's albums and and is part of Jane's Addiction.
Okay.
And when you're playing with someone like that, you realize, oh, that's a thing.
Right.
That's a very, very different thing.
Right. Being a professional, great bass player is different.
It's all the things that they do well that you like. It's not even the virtuosity. It's the ability to create and move and guide and all of these things that you don't realize is so important and how easy it is.
Right. It's also, and I'll say something that I don't know at all what it means, but I've heard people say it. It's what they don't play, not just what they play.
Right. That's a cliche and stupid. That's really stupid. We should try it. It's what you don't say in this podcast.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm thinking about something about my friend Jon. I'm not saying it. Interesting. Interesting. Well, Jon, thank you for being here. This is, I'm wrapping up this. What else?
Coming back. I need to come back.
Okay.
I need a podcast of my own and invite you.
Tell me something. Tell me something deep about me that you've observed in our deep friendship for many years that you don't think I know enough, or you don't think I believe.
I think you have the ability to fix problems, your ability to love people, and your ability to make people feel good about themselves. And this tolerance you have and your extraordinary intelligence, you would be of great value to people. And yet you don't have a charity. You don't have a thing that's your thing. You don't volunteer at the place to change lives. And I think that's a waste.
Fair. That's fair. I don't have a specific charity that I champion anymore. I used to have a few. I got bogged down in the world of charity. I got bogged down in administrative bullshit that really made me like, oh,
awful.
This is
happens all the time.
Awful. And just like, I don't need that kind of stuff. I do, like I teach at USC for,
That's true.
for
That's
no
a
money,
good thing.
But it's okay. Like, it's not really changing the world or offering something. It's not really fixing anything exactly.
Right. You're also teaching at UCLA. You're not teaching
USC,
in Ethiopia.
That's right. Although I went with you one time.
We did go to
try and teach at a
Kenya.
film school. Yes.
In Rwanda.
Yes.
They still talk about it.
That was fantastic.
I'm going there in 2 days.
Back to that same film school?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic.
And I went last summer.
Right.
I brought Will Ferrell last summer.
Oh, right.
They were much more excited to see him than me. I'm at a crossroads where I am stuck in terms of charity and do-gooderness.
Right.
I'm 61, and the sad, horrible thing to say, I'm going to say, which is, I'm tired of all of it not making a difference.
Right. But you're asking me to join in with you.
Correct. And figure, because I think you could probably find a way to make that difference. Now, doing the good thing does fulfill you. It's great.
Right.
People like you. And it does help certain specific people. But if you think the system is bad and the conditions upon which these things happen, it is unbearably difficult to actually change things.
Yeah.
And I'm getting really sick of not changing them.
It is hard to want to make a change and even being satisfied with incremental change or very little change is very hard. It's very hard.
See, if you see someone buried in a pile of manure, and you are a good person and you know that person needs to live and what's down there needs to be saved,
Right.
it's hard to get a shovel and pull out all that manure.
Right.
But you will stop doing it when you see there are other people putting manure in.
That's true.
And that's the situation our country's in right now.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard. But I think I have more optimism at this moment than you.
You do. I'm still trying to find the thing that I'm still looking for
Right.
what it is that I can actually do and make that change.
Right. We'll find it. You'll figure it out.
Okay.
In the meantime, Jon Turteltaub, thank you for being here. I love you. I really appreciate you coming to do this. Not something you necessarily want to do on a Wednesday, so thanks. Driving out from wherever the hell, the west side to the east side is terrible. It's a nightmare. Forgive me, but thank you for being here. You're a very talented, lovely person, and I'm thrilled that our fathers were mutual acquaintances when we were kids so that we could be friends now as adults.
Thank you. And I'll say this about you. You are one of those people who, when you say thank you and I love you, the person hears it.
Oh,
So
good.
thank you.
Well, I love you. There you go. And I love you. Are you hearing that, people? Thank you for being a part of the show. Please write to me at dbawjk@gmail.com with all your questions, complaints. But for God's sake, subscribe to the show, like the show, tell your friends about the show. That's all I care about. That's it. That's the one thing. And please, don't be alone. Go have a conversation with somebody else, face to face, somebody you care about, a good friend like I have right here. Do you good. All right, bye-bye.
Don't be alone.